We didn't come here. We were brought.
This is what happens when you break the rules.
Get these people home, Sheriff. Promise me.
From is a sci-fi horror series created for Epix, later rebranded as MGM, so that's what I'll be referring to from now on. And it revolves around this small town with a group of people that ended up there unwillingly. What happens with every single person so far that has ended up in this small town is that they were driving and they come across a fallen tree, so they head back. Also, when people get out to inspect the fallen tree, all these crows show up as well. Now, these people have actually come from different parts of the country, but they all ended up in this small town. Now, I have watched the first season and I'm starting on the second. The second season has already completed, but I have not finished that. So this is going to be just the basic gist about the TV show and why I like it and why I think you'll like it too. I really won't be giving away any spoilers, so go on and watch this video. I'm not giving anything away that the first episode didn't give away. We see a man ringing a bell and he has a gun and a badge on his hip, so we kind of assume he's an authority figure. We find out later his name is Boyd and he's the sheriff. Boyd looks off with binoculars at this house further back, and it's a huge house and it's called Colony House. Come to find out later, it's basically a bunch of hippies and is run by this woman named Donna. Donna's pretty cool though. She doesn't take any crap from anybody. I guess I kind of aspire to be like Donna in the future maybe. So the reason Boyd is looking there is because his son lives in Colony House, and Colony House is kind of like their own little society, and then you have the rest of the town, and that's what Boyd's over. Donna's over Colony House, Boyd's over the town. So everyone is kind of moseying on home. There's a woman sitting outside her front porch. It's getting dark out. She's looking for her husband to come home. The daughter's like, oh, Daddy promised he'd be home before dark. Well, Daddy, we find out, is at a bar passed out on the floor. The bartender locks up and is basically like, man, your wife's gonna be mad at you. Well, back at the house, the wife says, to the daughter, Megan, go up and say your prayers. The wife is locking everything up, which everybody in the town is right now. The waitress at the diner, woman at the clinic, and this woman at her house. They're all locking up, and then they just kind of touch and make sure this talisman is still attached. It's this little like flat rock with a design, and that's the talisman that people use in their homes, and I'll explain that later. So back at the house, the little girl Megan is done saying her prayers, and she's on the second story, by the way. And she hears this tapping on the window, and this woman, you hear a woman's voice, an older woman's voice, and she said, Megan, it's Grandma. The little girl's like, I'm not supposed to talk to you. And the old lady said, just open up the window. It'll be our little secret. I won't tell anyone. Well, that's a perfect sign right there. So, of course, what does the kid do? She goes over there and opens up the shades. The window's still closed, but she can see the woman on the other side. And the mother happens to walk by the little girl's room. She goes, Megan, what are you doing? And Megan's talking to the old lady on the other side of the window. She said, you don't look like my grandma. And the mother's like, that's not your grandma. Megan opens up the window. The grandma grabs Megan. Now, I'm not blaming the kid for being stupid, but that kid's stupid. I'm sorry, Megan. That was dumb.
You're stupid.
The next morning, the husband comes home and Boyd, the sheriff, runs out and grabs him and brings him in the house to force him to look at his disemboweled wife and daughter. Now, something else I'll say really quick, that if you don't like blood and you don't like guts, this is not the show for you. It is very bloody. I didn't realize they would have something like this on MGM because I didn't know what kind of stuff they allowed. They allow a lot. So I won't go into whole detail about the first episode, but I will say the creatures are very interesting. They don't chase you. They don't run. They just leisurely walk out of the woods, and they will walk up to your house, and if you have a talisman, they cannot come unless invited. Megan.
Maybe I can come in.
But if you don't have this talisman and you are outside or you're in your home, they will break in and they will get you. So you have to make sure that everything's locked up. You have this talisman up. They cannot come in unless invited, as I said. But these creatures are very creepy. Like they don't chase you. And so it's kind of like old school zombies. Like they're just going to walk to you and they're going to get you if you allow it. Of course, like I said, they do turn into this menacing creature with long fangs that make me question what they really are, because since they only come out at night, they cannot come in your house unless invited. That sounds very much like a vampire to me. And so I kind of wonder, maybe this is a form of vampirism? Vampires? Maybe these things are vampires is what I'm trying to say. We get the feeling that this town has existed, or these people have been there for quite some time because they have a system and a routine set up. We then learn how this all begins. How these people end up there, because this family, this little boy, his teenage sister, and their parents, they are in this RV, and the same thing happens to them. Fallen tree, bird, and they head back and they end up in this town. So that gives us the idea of the whole process of joining this community. I will say this, if you like horror, if you like creature movies, if you don't mind blood and guts, and you like sci-fi, and you're patient, I personally love it. I think you will too, as long as you fall into those 5 categories. I am impatient, but the reason I say that is because there's some episodes that you think, what are they talking about? Well, you just have to be patient and wait till the next episode. There's maybe a couple episodes in the middle of season 1 that are kind of slow, but I understand. Get through it, don't stop, just watch it, and things will happen, I promise you. More things will happen, especially near the end of season 1, that will make you anxious to see season 2. And I only just discovered this show several weeks ago, so I already watched the first season, on to the second. I'm sure many of you have already maybe watched the second season, but I'm doing this for the people who are maybe curious about it, but not really sure what it's about. And I'll say this too, one of the creatures is played by this guy, and he has such a sinister smile. We wouldn't even need any creature makeup or special effects if all the actors had this grin on his face or her face. But you did a good job, guy. You did good. They have a system that they call the box, and it's like a rusted old trailer, like in the middle of town. And anyone who puts the community at risk, they decided that they would put that person in the trailer, in the box, without a talisman. So that's certain death. Guy lost his family, yeah, but he didn't do it. The creatures did it. That's pretty extreme. When I heard about that, I'm like, what kind of community is this? That's the basic storyline of the show. That's the basic premise. It's bloody. If that's not your thing, this won't work for you. I have a lot of thoughts, but of course, like I say, I'm just on the first season, just started the second, haven't completed it yet, and I'm anxious to watch it. So if you have seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't seen it, but you might because of my video, I would love to hear that too. So just to be clear, no one, as of season 1, has any idea why they are there. They don't understand who or what is behind it. They don't understand what these creatures are. And there's been a lot that has developed since the beginning of this event until now, where we are at. There's a lot of unanswered questions as of right now, but they are trying to find out what's going on, and there's a lot of people asking questions, which is also very good. Always ask questions. always question authority. I didn't say that, YouTube. I'm kidding. But in all seriousness, I find it to be a very entertaining show. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye.
Wondered if you could point me in the direction of the highway.
Not a problem.
I'm checking to see if they moved.
If what moved?
The trees.
It's Grandma.